Good Material by Dolly Alderton. That was not the one that I ended up loving the most. The one that I rated the highest. Alright, so my September TBRs are, I bought all of these from Facebook Marketplace and I have been dying to read all of them. The first one is Sally Rooney, Conversation with Friends. I have never read a Sally Rooney book, but so many people have recommended her and have raved about her book. The second one, again, much raved about, is a Dolly Alderton book, Ghosts. I loved Dolly Alderton's memoir, gave it 5-star. Then I read Good Material and I didn't love it as much. I gave it a 3-star. So I'm really interested to see how I like Ghosts and whether maybe it'd be a 4-star. Maybe it's right in the middle of the two Dolly Aldertons that I've read. The next one was actually a Shameless book club recommendation. I hadn't heard about it before Shameless recommended it, but ever since then, it's just kept on coming up in my Goodreads and even in just like Facebook groups that I'm in. I feel like people always mention this. And it is Green Dot by Madeline Gray. I think that this is a romance novel. This is really bad. Like, I actually don't really know what all these books are about. I, to be really honest, haven't even read the synopsis of all of them. I'm so bad at doing that. I just see one that I think I'll like and get it and, like, don't read the synopsis until I start the book. So, anyway, that'll be fun. Next one is, again, a well-loved, well-raved about book, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by, what's her name, Gabrielle Zevin. And I think this might be the second one that I read after Conversation with Friends. This one, the thing that's putting me off about this one is the size. I know it's not that big, but it's just bigger than I'm used to. And so I don't want it to be another slog book. I've had like 2 or 3 slog books in a row and I just need an easy read. So I am praying that Sally Rooney's Conversation with Friends will get me through. And I'm hoping that I'll love this because this is definitely romance. I've looked at the synopsis for this and yeah, some of my friends have read it and raved about it as well. One that I don't have is another Jane Harper one called, what is it? The Dust Man or, oh, I can't even remember what it's called now. That's so bad. The Dust or no. Anyway, I'll put the title here when I find it. I read The Dry by Jane Harper and loved it. I think I read it at 4-star. I quite like her writing. I quite enjoyed the plot and the storyline of The Dry, so I'm excited to read another Jane Harper book. And then last but not least is a non-fiction book. I usually, when I read non-fiction, it's Christian books, but this one is called Work Backwards by Tim Dugan? And yeah, it's just about work and I think it's about kind of the balance, like classic work-life balance, and I don't really know what it's about, but my stepdad gifted me this, so I'm excited to get into this. That is a lot of books for September. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to read all of them in this month, but who knows? I'm excited to see which ones I like. I'm really hopeful this month. I'm really hopeful that I will like all of them, but I will let you know when I can. All right, Sally Rooney is first up. I feel like I'm going to relate a lot to Frances in this book, and it sounds like a romance novel, so I am excited for this one. All right, I finished Conversation with Friends. I gave it 3 out of 5-star. It was really good writing. I think I really like Sally Rooney's writing style. I love that she doesn't have any quotation marks for all of her quotes. I think it just reads really easily. I finished it in 4 days, so it was a really easy read. The thing I didn't like were the characters. They were really unlikable. The whole affair going through the whole book was just icky to me. I didn't like any of the characters because they were just all a bit gross. And then even at the end, there wasn't really any closure. It was left on a cliffhanger. So yeah, it wasn't a great read. Would I read it again? No. Would I recommend it?
no. So maybe it should be a 2.5 star. But anyway, that's my review on Conversation with Friends.
Okay, the next one, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I feel like I'm going to love this. This sounds so up my alley. And, like, doesn't sound like a romance book, but I don't know. It sounds quite wholesome. I'm excited. Okay, so the last 5 books I think I've read have all been pretty mediocre. I think I've rated all of them about 3-star. And so I'm really just wanting a good 5-star read, or at least a 4-star read. Like, you know, so my next book is going to be Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I'm hoping that I really enjoy this one, but I'll update you when I finish. Okay, I'm 2 chapters in, and I am dying at how freaking adorable this book is already. The first chapter, I was a bit like, oh no, am I going to get into this? The second chapter was all about them at the hospital and how Sadie went into the games room with Sam and they were playing all these games and like just seeing their friendship blossom. And there's just something so wholesome about kids just playing games and getting on with each other. And I really feel for Sadie and what she's going through, being the little sister of Alice who has cancer, you know, how she kind of gets pushed aside. And anything with kids, it's just so wholesome and beautiful. Chapter 2 ended with Sam finding out that Sadie was doing it for a charity reason. And so I wonder what's going to happen. I hope that everything's okay. I'm so invested and I'm only 2 chapters in. Like, this is looking good. This might be my first 5-star read in a while. Okay. Woo. I just pulled my phone out when I found out this thing. If you know, you know, page 250. What the actual heck? That just fully came out of nowhere. I'm still processing it. And I'm also still reading, the shock has come, but I want to read the rest of what exactly happens, because this is a lot. Okay, I think I fully, kind of misread that. Well, not misread it. So she had an abortion. That's why she was depressed. I thought that it was Sam's kid, but it was Dov's kid, which kind of makes more sense. But it almost would have been better if it was Sam's kid. That would have been a really kind of, I don't know, moment of them maybe coming together. But anyway, it was Dov's kid and Sadie got an abortion. Whoa. Okay, anyway, back to reading. Okay, page 252 has the most beautiful line. It goes, "Tell me I don't know you," Sam thought. "Tell me I don't know you when I could draw both sides of this hand, your hand, from memory." Oh, it's just so beautiful, the intimacy that they have, but they don't have. It's so confusing, but that's just so, I just thought that was beautiful. Oh no. I think, so basically what's just happened is Sadie and Marks have just done the deed, and this is just gonna complicate things, because when they get back, I reckon what's gonna happen is Sadie and Sam are gonna be like, oh, we've loved each other all along, and then it's gonna be awkward because Sadie's gonna be like, yeah, but I slept with your best friend, lol. And also now they work together. It's so awkward. So can I just say, I'm done, and I'm so glad that I'm done, because I just want to move on, which is so annoying because I feel like I've said this about so many books that I've read in the last 2 weeks. I feel look how big this book is, okay? It's a pretty big sized book. It's got 482 pages. It didn't need to be this long. Nothing really happened. And I'm, again, so confused because there's so much hype about this book that I just don't get. I think that Sam and Sadie, the complex dimension between those two characters was interesting. Mark's was a random character. The fact that him and Sadie got together and then died, like, it was just a bit random. You know what it felt like when I was reading? It felt like the author had just made up the story as she went along. That she was just like, oh, and we'll add, Mark's dies here, and Sadie has an abortion here, and like, it felt really not thought through. Even the ending, like, it was so anticlimactic. And I was holding out hope that the last few chapters would be mind-blowing, because so many people had said to me, you know, push through the first half of the book and then the second half gets great. I'm like, didn't really get great. There were some beautiful lines in the book that I thought really pretty, but like, for this thick of a book, it did not need to. It could have been half of this and it would have been the same. So I'm really annoyed that I've got another 3-star book that I just, like, it's fine. I read it. I wasn't excited to read it. I was excited to read it so that I could finish it and move on to another book, which is never what you want. So, this has been like such a fail of a TBR reading month. But anyway, onwards and upwards to the next one. Okay, so the next book I am reading is The Lost Man by Jane Harper. I read The Dry a few months ago, and that was the first Jane Harper book I'd read, and I really liked it. I think I read it at 4-star, and I'm just hoping for at least a 4-star read. I don't even care about a 5-star read at the moment. I just need something that's not a 3 again, because I feel like, as I said, I've just read so many 3 stars. So anyway, we will get into this. Please, Jane, please be a 4-star read, please. I need something to get me out of this groove. I've finished with The Lost Man by Jane Harper. I am conflicted. I think that it's not as good as The Dry. I really loved The Dry, but I gave it 4-star, and I also gave The Dry 4-star. So I feel like that just shouldn't, I feel like I need to just change how I rate things. The whole thing about Liz, it was actually, to be fair, in the end, it was really beautiful. The fact that Liz actually left her son for dead because she knew what it was like being with someone who was abusive. Ilsa, like what she went through and the hiding of the envelope, I think that the end was a really beautiful story and picture. I just wish that would have come earlier. I think if the first half of the book had been set up better to include all of those themes of domestic violence, then I think this book would have been much better. The first 3/4 of the book was pretty slow, not gonna lie. The last 20 pages was phenomenal. So I feel like I'm gonna give this a 3.5 or a 3.75 because I did enjoy it. I'm glad I read it. I wouldn't necessarily point people into the direction of this book if they hadn't read a Jane Harper. I think I'd point them into The Dry over this. So 3.75 stars for this one. Don't mind me, just eating an ice cream. But the next book for my September TBR is Green Dot by Madeline Gray. This has been so highly recommended. It was on the Shameless Book Club's suggested books, and people have just been raving about it, and it just sounds so relatable. It is about a girl, Hera, who's in her mid-20s, who's just, muddling through life in Sydney, and then there's something about her coming into a relationship with a workmate and just the messiness of that. So it sounds like a bit of a romance novel, and I'm excited. It doesn't look too long, so hoping that this is a good one, but I will update you. I just need to read you a page from Green Dot. It's so beautiful. It talks about Hera's dad cooking and just how he doesn't have fancy meals. And she said, I loved how plain it was. I loved how it screamed. Man was overwhelmed by the large supermarket. I loved my dad. I would trade 1,000,000 fancy meals for frozen spinach ravioli and this man. I would trade 1,000,000 mothers to hang out with this good dad who wanted to be my father, even when the world didn't really want him to. This good man who went through hell to keep me. Oh, I'm getting emotional. I think that's just so beautiful. Okay, I've just finished reading Green Dot. I'm so conflicted about this book because
I really loved the writing. It was really relatable. I feel like I was just listening to my best friend talk to me for ages. But I think what the issue was the moral dilemma. So the fact that she is cheating, that he, the main guy, Arthur, is cheating on his wife with the main character, Hera, I don't know, it was quite grating, and I don't think I could fully be on board, which is such a shame because I really did enjoy the book. However, I think it was really good themes of kind of what women do and probably what you would do if you were in the situation. We kind of as readers, we're sitting and we're going, Hera, like, you know better. But actually that's kind of what we all go through in a way, that we're led into this kind of self-deception of what love might look like and things like that. One other thing that I didn't love about it was the explicit spicy scenes. I don't love spice. I think that it's not super relevant. I get why it was put in this book, but I don't love that kind of thing. And so I have been tossing up what to rate it. I read this in 5 days, so like it was a really easy read. It was a really enjoyable read. My gut is to give it 4 stars, but I just don't think I can because of that moral dilemma, of the spicy scenes, of the complexity. However, the complexity is what I loved about it. This is so hard. Okay, I think I'm going to bump it down by half a star, and we're going to go with 3.5 stars for Green Dot.
All right, the next one is Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. I feel like I'm going to love this one. This, I don't know, sounds right up my alley and probably very relatable by the sounds of it. So, okay, I don't know if I'm just really dumb, but I think I just got why the title is Ghosts, but I didn't see it coming. Like the fact that Max just ghosted her out of the blue. Is that why it's called Ghosts? And now her dad has gone missing. Like, poor Nina, she's in a world of ghosts. But surely Max will come back. Like, I'm so confused. But I wonder if that is why. But then where's this story going? I have no idea. But anyway, that was just my epiphany when I was reading. Okay, I just need to read a relatable bit. Lola and Nina talking about the fact that they're single, and they're talking to 2 people who are married and have children. And the pregnant woman with children and who's married, she's like, are you both putting yourself out there? And then Lola was like, yep, it's all I've been doing. I hate that phrase, like I'm a worm on a hook. If I were you, Claire chimed in, I would just enjoy being single and relax. There's no rush for starting a family. I don't think there's anything I found more galling than an expectant mother of 3 in a long-term relationship telling single women in their 30s to relax about starting a family. So relatable. I love it. When I read that, I like visibly eye rolled, and then saw the next bit about like, I can't believe that someone in their 30s is blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, so relatable. Oh, I'm getting so emotional at this point in the book. I've just picked it up after a while, and she's just had a fight with Catherine about how Catherine is always like, you know, you don't get it. I'm so busy. I've got kids. And Nina's like, I have a life too. Anyway. And then she goes back to her old house where she went with Max in Mile End. And she talks about how, like, she remembers seeing her dad's car in the driveway, and her dad's really ill at the moment, has forgotten like who she is, and still asks about his mum, and he's like 70 or 80 or something. And so, these like just choked me up. Love is homesickness, I once read in a book. The author's therapist had told her that the pursuit of love in adulthood is just an expression of missing our mums and dads, that we look for intimacy and romance because we never stop wanting parental security and attention. We simply displace it. My dad was nearly 80 and he was still missing his mother. He'd found a way of concealing it for all his adult life, and now, as the facade of togetherness was being slowly taken apart without his knowledge, the truth, all he wanted was his mum. I would make a strong case for the argument that every adult on this earth is sitting on a bench waiting for their parents to pick them up, whether they know it or not. I think we wait until the day we die. Oh, that's just like so true. I'm just like, oh, the way it's written is so beautiful. And I'm also on my period, so I'm really emotional. But oh, just had to read that. Okay, and then the last little bit of that page, which I'm going to start crying again. She says, it was just before midnight. It was cold. I was an adult woman with a mortgage, a career, and a life full of responsibilities. I was a little girl with a dying dad, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. I miss home. I miss home. I miss home. Okay, I am like devouring the last quarter of this book. It's just so true. There's this line. I feel like I'm reading so much, but that's when you know it's a good book, when you can't stop reading lines from it. It's when Jethro has stopped speaking to Lola, has ghosted her basically, and Nina goes in to talk to him, and she says to him, was it just a challenge? What do you mean? Was it a game you wanted to complete? You met a woman who had a life together and you wanted to see if you could pull it apart. You wanted to know that you could get her to fall in love with you, say all the things you wanted her to say, do all the things you wanted her to do, then the game was finished and you could turn it off. Of course that's not what I did. I just changed my mind. People are allowed to change their minds about things. You know, every time you change your mind in such an extreme way, it takes something from a woman. It's an act of theft. It's not just a theft of her trust, it's a theft of her time. You've taken things from her so you can have a few fun months. Can you not see how selfish that is? Yes, he said. Do you have any idea how hard she has to work to trust someone? And it's going to be even harder for her to do that now. It's yet more labour women have to put into a relationship that, on the whole, men don't really have to think about. Oh, I just... Go girl. I'm like, yes, you say that to Jethro.
This book was, I loved it. And I can't tell if I loved the entire thing or if I just loved the last bit, because I just demolished the last bit in like 2 hours. I've been sitting in my bed for 2 hours just reading this, and I have to just read the last little line, which I love. So it was her birthday. All her friends and family came around. There was like 7 of them. And she's blowing out candles, and she goes, I close my eyes and think of all the paths that lie ahead, none of which I can see yet, none of which I can plan for, only walk towards with faith. I blow out the candles of my cake for the 33rd time, another year begins. I don't know, it was really beautiful that nothing really happened. Like, she didn't end up with someone, Lola didn't end up with her guy, and I just love that it didn't end in like a romantic way of like, oh, I got ghosted, but like happily ever after. I just love the messiness and I love the realness, and I think that's what I loved about everything I know about love, because it's just so relatable. And I think this book is just so relatable about having friends who are married with kids, figuring out dating and the trickiness and just how much it sucks, having friends that are going through it with you. Oh, I really, really love this book. However, I don't think it's a 5-star, and I don't even think it's a 4.5. I'm going to give this book a 4-star because I really liked it. I didn't demolish it. Like, it was a big-ish read. I think I read it in a week. I just didn't love the spiciness in some of the scenes. I struggle when books have spicy scenes in them. And so because of that, I'm going to give it a 4-star. But still, I just love her writing and loved this book.
All right, I have one to go. I'm not going to lie. I've really been putting this off because I don't want to read it. But there's only a few days left of September. So I feel like I have to smash this out, which I'm pretty sure at the beginning of this video, I said that I would try and kind of read this one throughout all the fiction books. I wish I did that. I really wish I listened to past Annalise. Anyway, I'm going to try and read this Last one for September. So if I can smash this out, it'll be good. I've just got to get through it. Is it big writing at least? Oh, it's not. Okay, RIP. I'm not going to lie. It is now the 1st of October and I'm so close to finishing work backwards. Like, I've got that much to go and I probably will finish it tonight, but I need to get it finished. My thoughts are it was really good. It had like all of these exercises at the back and I just can't be bothered. So I've like skipped a whole bunch of it. But it was a really helpful book. It's really countercultural. It basically talks about how your work life doesn't have to be Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and that you can work around your goals and what money you want to make and what you want to do with your life, and then fit work around that rather than just earning money for the sake of earning money. They had some really good like diagrams and things like that I've taken pictures of and will probably refer back to. I think it's one that I would like to go back to. It wasn't anything, like super out of the blue. It was helpful, but it was a bit repetitive. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 star.
I have finished my September TBR. So the book that I thought I would like the most was Good Material by Dolly Alderton. That was not the one that I ended up loving the most. The one that I rated the highest was Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. And the second highest was The Lost Man / Green Dot. I looked at Goodreads and a lot of people don't agree with me about the books that I love versus ones that I don't like. I feel like the ones that I don't like are the ones that people really love and vice versa. So the final ratings, Green Dot was almost a 4, but because of the spiciness in it, I rated it down half a star. So 3.5 star for Green Dot. Ghosts was 4 out of 5, loved it. I thought the plot was engaging and just really enjoyed reading it. The Lost Man, I gave 3.75. I really liked it. I probably would recommend it to others. Tomorrow was probably the biggest letdown of the whole thing. I had high expectations and high hopes because so many people have raved about it and said good things about it, and it was just such a letdown. It was 3 out of 5 star, and to be honest, I could probably even rate it a bit lower, but 3 out of 5 star. Conversation with Friends by Sally Rooney is another letdown because I feel like I've heard so much about Sally Rooney. I've never read any of her books. And so I had really high hopes going in, but again, that was another 3 out of 5 star. And the last one, Work Backwards, is a bit tricky because you can't really scale it on the same thing as the other books because it is non-fiction. It was helpful. I think it was good things to think about. It wasn't really anything new, anything riveting. So I gave that one a 3 out of 5 star. So we found one 4-star book. The rest were in the 3s. I don't know, maybe I'm rating it too harsh. Maybe I need a new ranking system, but that is my September TBRs finished.